Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Thrashers Paradise. Today I am joined with who I'm hoping are Legend of Zelda enthusiasts, Master Sword from Washington, D.C. We are joined with Matt, Will, and Lily. Welcome to Thrashers Paradise. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. So I have obviously emailed you because I did hear The Final Door. And I do have to say, it's a very good album.
Thank
Wasn't what I was expecting by the cover, but very glad I did listen to it.
I'm curious, what were you expecting?
Not gonna lie, Nintendo Core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are a bit different than the other video game themed bands, I think. Definitely a more like old school metal approach to things.
Yes, from what I've seen, you've described your sound as power prog.
Yeah.
And I'm just very curious, for you all, what do you think makes progressive and prog metal kind of work together very well?
You mean power and prog, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think there's been a long history with those two genres. Kind of like a lot of bands will like go between them. You know, take some things from power, some things from prog. Then again, like I find like the term progressive metal to be kind of a strange one, because if you listen to like any two progressive bands, they don't sound anything alike. So I don't really like. I have a lot of progressive influences, and I think that comes across with my writing, and it certainly comes across with our guitarist Kojo. He writes a lot of music too, and it definitely comes across with his music. But I can't really say what really makes progressive music progressive, other than it's kind of like you're trying to do something different, and I think that's really the biggest thing. And there's also a certain degree of like instrumental technicality that needs to happen. But other than that, I don't really know what makes progressive music progressive. I feel like power metal is a lot more straightforward, and like that you can listen to it and you're like, yeah, that's power metal.
Well, that's probably part of what makes it work well together, is that power metal is such like a blank slate of there's so much room to add to it, so you can make it as progressive or as straightforward as you want to. There's a lot that can be done.
Sure.
And you can tell that with each song on the album, each one has its own identity and each sound, and it doesn't sound similar in any way to the one before it or after it. And I think that's what I really like about The Final Door.
Yeah, all our songs sound pretty dissimilar to each other. I think the closest two would probably be Final Door and Hero of Time.
Yeah. I mean, they each have like a different character for sure, and a different feel, because they're each telling a different story, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they sound different. Like I think like as a band, we definitely do have a sound that's very Master Sword, in that we combine progressive and power metal, and sometimes we go a little bit softer too, but I don't know. I don't think our songs sound all that dissimilar from each other, personally.
Yeah. But like vocally, you definitely help tie everything together. But if we're looking at like instrumentally, like Bloody History and Enchantress, like true. Those are pretty different songs.
I guess if you cut me out of it, then. But then we wouldn't be Master Sword.
No.
So.
But no, that's why like the vocals, especially, like it's the glue that holds everything together. Otherwise, I don't know if people would be able to tell that like each of these songs are from the same band.
Mm-hmm.
They're so like very strange and different from each other.
Awesome. Now, it's evident by the album cover, you are all fans of Legend of Zelda, I hope, in some way.
Yeah,
yep.
So my question is, what is it about the Legend of Zelda franchise as a whole that makes it so special?
There's so many different things. I mean, it's such an all-encompassing story that I feel like has like good relatable moralities that people can really cling to, which makes it really interesting and easy to write stories about, because there's just so much material there. and people are interested in it because, you know, like the world is at stake and there's a hero and a villain, and people like those classic stories. So,
It's true. Very good for power metal lyrics.
oh yeah.
Of course. Now, are people like surprised when they find out a band like Master Sword that's obsessed with The Legend of Zelda isn't part of that Nintendo core sound?
I don't know what people think. I feel like
I
I'm
feel
not.
like they're excited about it most of the time because
Yeah.
it's different. People
It's-
love things that are different.
It's definitely different. I think that's it makes it makes us stand out.
Yeah.
Just we are our own thing. We're not part of the Nintendo core sort of blanket whatever. We have our own sound, our own.
I'll be honest. I'm not sure what Nintendo Core is. I don't know if I've ever heard it before. I mean, what?
Like
Like-
8-bit,
Yeah.
Okay, so they're actually using like the old.
Yes.
like game chips.
Like chiptunes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If chiptunes is what I'm familiar with. I don't know if it's the same, but
You basically take Super Mario Brothers and you put it together with Kill Switch Engage, and that's metalcore in a nutshell.
okay. Yeah, we don't typically use a lot of chiptunes or like kind of old samples from those games. I'm not opposed to it, but I feel like a lot of bands have done that, so it's kind of like we haven't really ventured into that realm.
I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. Didn't even dawn on me that you were like Legend and Zelda in like influenced until after I listened to the album and I look closely at the album cover and I see Link, and it's like, oh, Master Sword. I get it now.
That is definitely intentional.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that gives us an accessibility that maybe not all video game bands have. Like, it gives you a more diverse audience. You don't have to be interested in The Legend of Zelda to like what we're doing.
Mhm.
But if you are into the games, like, you appreciate the subtlety, and it allows you to interpret different things from the stories that are being told and appreciate the music for what it is at the same time.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're almost afraid of is like metalheads who would like our style of music looking at it and being like, oh, this is just Legend of Zelda, like covers. I'm not interested in that
Right.
because it's not exactly what we're
It's not
doing.
what we're going for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we want to keep like a broad umbrella so that like any metalhead, you know, who likes power metal or progressive metal can like listen to our stuff and not be afraid to, and not just kind of dismiss it without even listening.
Right.
It's very important to us.
Of course, I completely get that. Now, I do have to say the album cover is amazing. It's beautiful. It's bright. It's vibrant. There's that darkness and that light, the hero to villain contrast. It's very just, it's perfection in my eyes. Take me behind the creation process of deciding, yeah, this should be the face of our album.
Wow, I don't think anyone's asked this
No.
before. Okay. So the album art and all of our kind of our artwork and like the sleeves and stuff, it was all done by my friend Chris, who I've known since like high school. Now the thing is, like, he's a fantastic
He's
graphic
incredible.
designer, and we don't use him just because he's a friend. You know, I like if there was someone
No.
better, we would go with them. But
Mhm.
like, he's legitimately very good, and I think most of it was inspired by. I don't remember. Do you?
I was ill prepared for this question.
Yeah, no one's asked this before.
But I think it was mostly inspired by, because we had the title track as the final door. We were thinking in terms of like the final boss in, which Zelda game was that?
That's from Zelda,
Zelda
2.
2, where he's like fighting his shadow self, as it were. So it was sort of inspired by that, and then sort of expanded from that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so yeah, it was her lyric. She
Right.
came up with the name of our title track, The Final Door, had the lyric for it, and I kind of was inspired by that and was like, oh, we should like,
Right.
you know, and then I
Yeah.
passed
So
that on
there's
to Chris.
all kinds of like video game element nuggets like tucked into that art. if anyone's curious to just dive right in there and look for things. But that's kind of what we try to do is we try to, take an idea from the games and then expand upon it and, explore these theories and different things and make it, something really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely that name, the Final Door.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
kind of launched the whole thing.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised no one else has asked about the album artwork.
No.
I don't know. Like,
We did have the thing is with the Final Door, it was released and then we were on tour for a little bit and then COVID hit and it was just like a black hole.
keyword is a little bit. It was like it was less than a week.
Yeah,
We
and as soon as we got back, everything shut down. So
Mhm.
I don't even know that we've done that many interviews on the Final Door just because the world kind of stopped for a while.
Yeah.
So
certainly less than like the previous album, Shadow
Yeah.
of Steel. It's just like we couldn't support it. Like
Mhm.
as soon
Right.
as we went out, like COVID hit.
Yeah.
So we've
That
only
is-
played like these songs live
a few times.
3 or 4 times. It
Yeah.
feels like.
And then soon at PAX. Woo.
Yeah, we have a show 2 weeks at PAX in Seattle. So that's exciting.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, we're
What
pretty pumped.
is it exciting to go back onto the road, or is it like, oh no, what do we need again? What's the thing we need?
I'm so excited. Planning for a tour is never the most fun, but I know that as soon as we get on stage, it's going to be electric. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so
there's
excited.
a lot of logistics to it. Even more for this one because this is our first time we're actually taking a plane somewhere because they're flying us out there for like the weekend.
Mhm.
Normally, we take a van, go around the cities that way.
Right.
We've never actually taken a plane. So there's a lot to worry about, a lot to stress about. But I'm sure once we're on stage, like it'll all just
Oh yeah,
go
we
away
won't care about
because,
anything but that moment.
Yeah, that's what's important.
Now, what made Seattle be your return to live performing?
They asked us and we said yes.
Yeah, I mean, they made us an offer we
We-
couldn't refuse.
Honestly,
basically.
we were saying no to a lot of shows because not only because of COVID, because obviously this is a huge deal, but because Sean, our previous bass player, had decided to step aside. And it wasn't until we got this offer from PAX West and we were like, we can't turn this down, like it's PAX West. So, and at that point, I think we were feeling a little bit more confident about where we were at because I think, like, not just with us, but COVID really took a toll on everybody everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely took the wind out of our sails
Yeah.
a little bit.
Can confirm, indeed.
Yeah, because
It was rough.
we were doing really well
We
before
were.
COVID. It really hit at like a very bad time.
It made it extra hard because, like, anytime you come back for a tour, you always have the like post-tour down where you're like, ugh, I have to go back to real life now. But real
Mhm.
life was suddenly like quarantine, like alone, and you're like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even. I'm sure there are many people that had it way worse than we did, but man, did that suck.
Yes,
It
it
was nice
does.
having that last kind of big thing before
Yeah,
we got locked up.
At least we got to do that tour, but still, it
Mhm.
made it extra hard to come down from that.
Absolutely.
Of course, I couldn't imagine how that felt being told, "Hey, we gotta stop the tour." Like,
We did finish it.
Yeah,
Like,
we-
Oh, you did?
We were
Oh,
very
okay.
fortunate in that
It was-
it was literally right after we got back. So
oh, okay.
we had like another tour planned for later in the year. We were going to go out west and play Mad with Power, which we were super pumped for. But then COVID happened, it got canceled, then postponed, then time went on endlessly. And then Sean decided to step aside, so we had to cancel the postpone Mad with Power. It was just like a whole thing. So yeah.
Well, hopefully, you can make your way up north soon in the next coming years.
Keep your fingers crossed and
Yeah.
eyes peeled on the Facebook page because we make announcements there about future shows and we are looking at some up north. So
Yeah, it's nice
Excellent.
because like the floodgates have opened and like we've been getting a bunch of offers the last few months
yeah.
and we can finally say yes to them because we have a new basis now, and we're feeling confident that we can actually like make the dates if we say yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know this question is probably going to be a bit trickier to answer, but for you all, what city are you looking forward to the most to returning to play live in front of that crowd?
We don't have anything booked there yet, but I had so much fun when we played Chicago. I'd love to go back there. Like I said, we don't have anything scheduled there right now.
No.
It's not the thing that, like, it's not the place that I'm the most excited to visit that we have currently booked,
Mm-hmm.
because some of those places I've never been, but I can't talk about those because we're not announcing them yet.
We played Orlando a few years ago.
Oh,
That was a lot of
yeah,
fun.
that was so
Let's go
much
back to
fun.
Florida. And of course, we're always looking at new places. We haven't
Mhm.
been over to Europe yet, and that's kind of a big
Yeah.
thing we'd love to do. So, crossing our fingers on that one.
So my next question is, because I'm assuming you've come up north before, you've done a couple of shows here.
We actually haven't
No.
gone like, well, I mean, we've been up to Chicago. We've been up to,
Yeah, we've never played outside of the country though.
no, we haven't been up to
Ah.
Canada. We haven't honestly played like the northern East
Mhm.
Coast either. We haven't been to New York or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not in Pennsylvania.
No, it's just like, I don't know, like it takes a lot of work to set up a tour, and
Right.
you can't just
Of
go
course.
like to one city because it's not financially viable. You know,
Right.
you have to rent a van, you have like gas, like you have to hit like at least probably 3 or 4 stops to make it worthwhile to even go up there.
Right. And we
Of
usually
course.
try to plan our stuff around those bigger conventions. As you know, we're at the end of the day, we're still a video game metal band. So those are more, lucrative shows where we're going to be seeing a lot more of our fans. And it just makes sense to, when we get those offers, to take them and then plan something around that.
Mm-hmm. Of course, honestly makes complete sense.
Yeah. So with the final door, I feel like that was going to be our moment to like do more tours and stuff. It's just unfortunate because before that we had Shadow and Steel, but we were still like,
We were still growing.
yeah,
as
we were
a band.
definitely growing. Like Final Door was when like a lot of people started hearing about us, and it's definitely. I mean, I love Shadow and Steel, but Final Door is definitely a better
Oh
album.
yeah. I mean, you grow as a musician. If your latest album is not better than the one before, then I feel like you're not growing. So
Definitely.
Completely agree with that. As we keep talking about this final door, what is the next door that is to be opened for Master Sword?
we're not. We are working
We
on
are
it.
definitely
So
working on it a lot.
we're
It's,
actually in a pretty good place right now. We have quite a few of the songs written. It's just a matter of fine tuning and starting the recording process, and hopefully we'll be able to give some more teasers as to that then as we go along. And we
Yeah.
have a couple in between projects so that people will have things to look
we're keeping ourselves
really busy. Mostly math.
and we're all
Yeah,
doing recording.
we are.
Mhm.
But
Excellent.
yeah, I wish we could announce it, but
Yeah.
we still maybe we can't. Yeah.
I'll just keep it.
It's only big though. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's only
It's gonna be
our
super
biggest
awesome.
thing we've ever done. I think.
Well, I will make sure to keep my eyes peeled on the Facebook. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus. Because I'm not very familiar with The Legend of Zelda as a whole. I haven't played much of them, but I'm very curious from all of your perspectives in your minds, which game do you feel is the most underappreciated one of them all?
That's a good question. Underappreciated? I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah.
We usually get which one is your favorite. I was so ready to
Yeah,
answer.
that one's easy. Underappreciated. It's like you have the ones that are underappreciated. I actually kind of agree that they're not as good. So I
Rude.
like Zelda 2. I'm not a huge fan. It has its moments, but it's I'm not really into it. You've also got like Skyward Sword.
Right off
Which-
the bat, I would say Wind Waker.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because
Okay.
I feel like that
Yeah.
one's really good.
Wind
but
Waker's legit fantastic.
It's so
But
amazing.
I think a lot of people agree with that assessment.
I
That's why I
don't
don't
know.
think it's underappreciated.
Well, I think it was underappreciated because the console it was on, because it was on
Possibly at
GameCube,
the time.
like
Yeah.
in that weird like Xbox and PlayStation had just come out. PlayStation 2.
Or Twilight Princess.
People love that game.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people love it.
Apparently, I know nothing about what people like. This does not surprise me at all.
We don't actually know anything about Zelda.
That's fair. I only know what my opinions are.
Yep.
None of anyone else.
Yeah, like Twilight Princess is one of those games. It's not one of
so
my
awesome.
favorites, but it's a lot of people like that game.
'Cause
A lot of
it's
people like Midna.
Atmospherically awesome, and Midna is the best.
She is definitely the best guide in any Zelda game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like I'm not. For some reason, that game didn't hit me that hard. I think it's because Wind Waker was so good, and that game came
You're
immediately
looking at
after.
you right now.
Still, like it's still like in the top, half. I'd say.
Yeah. I can't think of a Zelda game where like people
Don't
didn't
like
like it. Like there's always going to be someone who likes some aspect of the Zelda game, or like I don't like this one, but I like this one because the universe is so, I don't know, encompassing. Like I think that people really love it.
Yeah, like Zelda games are rarely bad. It's
Mhm.
just like some people aren't into what they're doing with that particular title.
Right.
Mhm.
That's how I felt with like Skyward Sword. Like it's a good game. I wanted Breath of the Wild, even though it was like like 8 years before Breath of the Wild came out.
But Skyward Sword's music, I think, I was happier with Skyward Sword's music more than I was with Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild kind of buried their music a little bit, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, it
It was
was
very ambient.
It was,
because it's because of what it is. It's
Yeah.
like an open world.
I liked it. I
It
like
was cool, but I missed how big the music is.
Right.
Like I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm biased because we are literally in a Zelda band, but like that's what I want to. That's what I want to hear. That's what I'm here for. Like, where is it? It's so quiet.
No, I totally get that. Like Breath of the Wild. Like I'm a sound designer. Like I like
Oh, okay.
that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to work on video games doing like, ambient tracks and stuff like that. So for me, like I can appreciate it from that point of view. But I totally get what Lily's saying. Like there's not as many like big epic songs. The town themes are really good. I
Mhm.
really like the remix they did of the Rito Village.
Yeah, it's cool and cute, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's that song when I'm playing it, but like I want to be smacked in the face with it whenever I start walking into an area. I want it to knock me down. So that's just me.
Quoted.
Wow. I wasn't expecting every little detail of every game to be picked out.
You talked to the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking a Zelda band.
Did I
So-
really though, or did I talk
I-
to the right people?
Yeah.
It depends
Fair
if you
enough.
want a long-winded answers. Yes, you
Yeah.
talk to the right people.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact it wasn't a simple one where it's like, yeah, it's this one for sure, hands down.
Yeah, that's literally what the answer would have been.
Right.
Jesus, but no. Well, I guess because I've been debating about is Breath of the Wild worth purchasing?
Yes.
Absolutely,
it
is.
100%.
I bought it 2 days ago, and I've played, I don't know, like an hour and a half. It's so worth it. I'm an hour and a half in. It's so worth it. Like
It's-
100%.
Okay.
It's the game that kind of modernizes the Zelda franchise.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's more in common with like Skyrim than it is like previous Zeldas, to be honest.
there are things that I don't like about it, but they are outweighed by the things that I did like about it. Like it's still an amazing game and people should play it, but they, I think, missed out on some storytelling opportunities. Like, with such a vast open
Mhm.
world thing, I think they were more focused on the vehicle than the actual game itself, which is fair. They were literally coming out with the Switch at that time. Like I understand why, but I have high hopes that the sequel will fill in those gaps.
Yeah, and it seems like it will based
So-
on the trailer.
Oh yeah, the trailers look fantastic.
I
I'm
want to
so
say
excited.
like the reason I think they didn't really focus that much on story is because they were very much taking inspiration from the first Zelda game, which has
Has
even
no
less of a
story.
story.
Man, I can't get through the first Zelda game without getting frustrated about how many times I die and then have to start entirely over.
Yeah.
I do not have the temper or the patience for that situation.
And that game was actually the first with a battery built in. Before that, like all the
Oh.
NES games,
It's crazy.
you couldn't even turn the console off because then you just lost.
Oh my
everything.
god.
So it's at least a little better.
Man, that's a rough life. I don't know how people live that way. Oh, to be a gamer in the modern world.
Spoiled.
Jesus. Okay. I have one last question to ask you all. It's a question I ask every guest who joins me here on Thrashers Paradise, just to test your metal knowledge instead of your video game knowledge.
Uh-oh,
Nice.
we're in trouble.
Uh-oh. That's the red flag right there. Who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God?
Lemmy, obviously.
I mean,
How did
yeah,
anyone hesitate to answer that question?
I don't know God's fighting stats. I need more info.
Lemmy lived for like 30 years of his life on cigarettes, Jack Daniels, and saltine crackers. So like, I
mean,
Right,
God
I
could be
think
into
he
the
could
same
sing.
shit. I don't know.
could be, that's true.
I would like to see that. That would be amazing.
Should put that on pay-per-view. Watch that.
I,
Dream
I,
it.
I wasn't expecting the stats to be brought up. That's a first.
We're a video game fan. That's what we're all
Yeah,
about.
we
Is the
need-
Yeah.
stats.
Sorry, I'm gonna need like a detailed breakdown of his character sheet.
Yeah.
Does he have initiative? Does he get any bonuses?
I like how Lily was immediate. Matt had to ask for the stats.
This is our dynamic. Let's
Yep.
be honest.
100%.
I love it. I love it. Master Sword, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to sit down with me to talk for a bit about Final Door, Zelda, and just in general. It was great to meet you all and talk to you all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people before I let you go and you get on with your lives, I get on with my lives, and then this gets uploaded whenever it does?
Stay middle. I don't know. That's all I got. It's on my t-shirt too, so I guess I didn't really need to put my hands up. But yeah,
All right.
that's all I got. Stay safe out there though. It's still a little hazardous right now.
Oh,
so.
also follow us on social media. It's
Yeah.
Master Sword Band. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're now on TikTok, so that's very exciting, I guess.
We're old. Oh.
Yeah, band, We do
Yeah.
have shirts and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And until next time, everyone, keep on thrashing.
See you guys.
See ya.
You'll be